Big E on WWE return, career behind him. So Big E just said something that's going to break your heart, and honestly it broke mine too. The man who gave us the power of positivity, the man who made us believe in the magic of pancakes and gyrating hips, the former WWE Champion who carried that title with pride and charisma, just admitted that his in-ring career might be over. And when I say might be over, I mean he's basically telling us to start preparing for a reality where we never see him hit another big ending. Welcome back to the Wrestling Hidden Insight, and today we're talking about Big E's recent comments that have the entire wrestling world in their feelings. Before we get into the emotional roller coaster that is this story, let me ask you something. When was the last time a wrestler's injury genuinely scared you? Not like, oh that looked bad scared, but like genuinely made you hold your breath and pray everything would be okay scared? For a lot of us, that moment was March 11th, 2022. That was the night Big E broke his neck on Friday Night SmackDown during a tag team match. And if you saw it live, if you watched that replay, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It wasn't a worked injury. It wasn't a storyline. It was real, it was terrifying, and it was the kind of moment that reminds us that professional wrestling, for all its scripted drama and predetermined outcomes, is still incredibly dangerous. Now here we are nearly 3 years later, and Big E is sitting down with Stephanie McMahon on her podcast What's Your Story, and he's being brutally honest about where he's at mentally and physically. And let me tell you, the honesty hits different when it's coming from someone like Big E. This is a guy who's always been the epitome of positivity. This is the guy who literally built his entire brand around spreading joy, making people laugh and lifting others up. So when Big E says his career is kind of behind him, when he admits he's asking himself why me, you know it's serious. You know he's processed this 1,000 times in his head, and he's come to a conclusion that he never wanted to reach. Nikki Bella, same deal. These are the stories that give people hope. These are the stories that make fans think, okay, if they can do it, why can't Big E? And that's exactly what makes Big E's situation so heartbreaking. Because for every success story, there's someone who doesn't get that fairy tale ending. For every Edge or Bryan Danielson, there's someone whose body just doesn't heal the same way, whose doctors say it's too risky, whose second opinion confirms what they didn't want to hear. He's not giving up hope entirely, but he's also not holding his breath anymore. He's being realistic, which is probably the healthiest thing he can do, but man, it hurts to watch. Let's talk about the injury itself for a second, because understanding what happened makes Big E's current situation even more gut-wrenching. March 11th, 2022, SmackDown. Big E is in a tag match with Kofi Kingston against Sheamus and Ridge Holland. Ridge Holland hits him with an overhead belly-to-belly suplex on the outside of the ring, and Big E lands directly on his head and neck. Directly. It's the kind of landing that makes your stomach drop even watching it back. And Big E, being the professional that he is, immediately knew something was very, very wrong. He ended up with a broken C1 vertebra and a fractured C6 vertebra. For those who don't speak medical, that's your neck, and those are some of the most crucial bones in your entire spine. The fact that he didn't end up paralyzed is honestly a miracle in itself. The recovery process for something like that is intense. We're not talking about a few months of rehab and then you're good to go. We're talking about years of uncertainty, constant doctor visits, scans upon scans, and living with the knowledge that one wrong move could change your entire life forever. Big E mentioned last fall that he had upcoming neck scans that would be crucial in determining whether a return to the ring was even possible. Those scans would have happened earlier this year, and based on his recent comments, it seems like the results weren't what he was hoping for. He hasn't outright said he's never coming back, but reading between the lines, it feels like the door is closing, if it hasn't already closed completely. Now let's shift gears for a moment and talk about what Big E has meant to WWE and to wrestling in general, because his in-ring career might be winding down, but his legacy is already cemented. This man started in FCW, which was WWE's developmental territory before NXT became what it is today. He was there in the early days of NXT when it was transitioning from a game show format to the black and gold brand that would eventually revolutionize wrestling. His size and charisma immediately made him stand out. He was intimidating, sure, but he also had this natural charm that made you want to root for him. Let's also acknowledge the role the New Day plays in all of this. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods have been by Big E's side through everything. They've supported him, they've kept his spirit alive on WWE programming, and they've made it clear that whether Big E ever wrestles again or not, he's always going to be part of the New Day. That brotherhood, that bond, that's real. That's not a storyline. That's not something you can script. And it's beautiful to see. Because at the end of the day, wrestling is about moments and memories, but it's also about the relationships you build along the way. And the New Day's relationship is one of the most genuine and special things in modern wrestling. So where does this leave us? Where does this leave Big E? Honestly, it's hard to say. He's in a place of acceptance, but also a place of lingering hope. He's come to terms with the idea that his in-ring career might be over, but he hasn't completely shut the door. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's the healthiest place for him to be right now. Because completely giving up hope can be devastating, but also clinging to unrealistic expectations can be just as damaging. He's found a middle ground and he's navigating it with grace and honesty. The wrestling world is going to continue to support Big E no matter what happens next. Whether he makes a miraculous comeback that defies all the odds, or whether he officially announces his retirement and transitions fully into a backstage or on-screen role outside the ring, the fans are going to be there. Because Big E earned that loyalty. He earned that respect. He earned that love. And it's not going anywhere. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you sticking with me through this emotional journey. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash that notification bell because here at the Wrestling Hidden Insight, we're dropping multiple videos every single day with all the latest wrestling news, updates, and stories you need to know about. Drop a comment below and let me know your favorite Big E moment. Let me know if you're still holding out hope for a return or if you're at peace with him potentially hanging up the boots. And if you know someone who's a Big E fan, someone who needs to hear this story, share this video with them because this is a conversation we all need to be having. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next one. Keep it locked to the Wrestling Hidden Insight, where we bring you the stories that matter, the updates you care about, and the insights you won't find anywhere else.